Hello, Culture Matters. We are back with another episode of the CEO Manual, Journey from Founder to CEO. If you haven't listened to episode 582, what is the CEO Manual? I challenge you to listen to that episode after this, if you haven't, or before, if you're not tracking with me. Listen to episode 551. I'm sorry, 651 additional. So it's 582 in episode 651 on the Culture Matters podcast called What Problems Do Founders and CEOs Face? As well, for some continued education on this topic. Today, I'm talking about one of the three R's, or introducing you to, as we'll go deeper and deeper and deeper in future episodes here, introducing you to one of the three R's of the CEO, which I have my manual right here, 120 plus pages to help me develop at a higher level of business, from founder to CEO journey that I'm in myself, right? Got to eat our own cooking. Today, we're going to talk about one of the three R's of the relationships, resources, and reasons of the CEO. I want to introduce you to our one of the R's called relationships. So go listen to those episodes 582 and 651. Come back here or listen to those after this. Today, we're talking about relationships. The So who are the relationships? If you're watching this on YouTube, got a diagram I'm going to show you right here. Two circles. There's our current relationships and there's potential relationships. Now, who are the types of relationships? We're talking about employees, vendors, partners, um, and so on, as well as potential. Who are but the potential talent we could attract to the organization, the potential vendors that could bring us to the next level, the potential customers. So yeah, I didn't mention the customers. Who are our customers? Who are our employees? Who are or our partners? Who are our vendors? Well, the chief executive officer, one of the distinctions between the chief executive officer and the founding principle of an organization is grasping the intuitive, grasping the nuance. Uh, it's educating to another level of enterprise value where the types of people that we're working with evolve, the types of people that or customers that we serve evolve, the types how that we even have meetings occurs or how they tr tr how meetings are acted out evolves. Do we have an org chart? Do we not have an org chart? All of these conversations become more and more important for a founder, for the chief to not only be introduced to, but learn and think through and act out as the founder goes on a journey of becoming a CEO, which is not just a journey from a materialistic standpoint, is my argument. It's a psychological and educational and experiential journey because not all CEOs are founders, but every founder is a CEO. What does that mean? Well, just by starting a business, I'm simultaneously founder and chief, even if I don't have any other chiefs that are willing to, that would be even willing to follow me as the chief executive officer. Chief executive of what exactly? Because so as an organization grows, ultimately, what got us there won't take us farther. We have to unlearn and relearn, as Glenn Yopes would say. So today I want to talk about the relationships of the CEO. In short, who are they? How do I relate to them? Who can they be? How can I relate to them? So we're living between two worlds. If we have two circles, I drew it one above and one below. The one below is who we currently have as far as our relationships. So you write down who are our customers, who are our employees, who are our vendors, who are our advisors, who are our, I mean, go through who is everyone. Then, and that's one circle. I'm my ability to respond to uh, conflict, because conflict is inevitable. The business wouldn't exist without conflict, without problems needing to be solved. In the beginning of an organization, often the founder thinks for all. As the organization grows an enterprise, that not only should not happen, that cannot happen for the enterprise to function at a higher level. So part of the reason we're talking about this is so that we can get clear on who we're responsible for. Because the CEO, the chief's job is to live between what is known and unknown, who we are responsible for and who we would desire to be, you know. And so in that second circle of the potential, we would write down all the relationship, the customers we'd like to have, the the talent we'd like to attract, the vendors we'd like to have. And the goal here is to become more clear on what we have to say yes to and what we must say no to. Because the ability to distinguish between yes and no becomes more and more vital for the chief to act as an executive as the organization grows beyond just this nuanced, intuitive feeling of understanding for whoever decided to take on risk, to take the chance. And so the R, one of the R's, because we're talking about relationships, resources, and reasons, one of the R's that makes a chief executive officer that would be relationships. Now, what, and if you notice actually in between these two circles, my argument here is we're when we don't have a grapple on who our relationships are, what we are responsible for, what we aren't, who we're accountable to, who we aren't, how we relate to others, how we shouldn't, how we would desire to, the less aware and educated and experienced we are in all of that, the more that seat feels like purgatory. Where once it was, I want freedom, I want to do things my way, that becomes quite the opposite. The organization starts telling the founder what to do. It starts guiding and molding the path. And if the education isn't there, if the experience isn't there, isn't burdened, if the awareness isn't there, that once enthusiastic, fun, awesome business becomes the very job by which that founder hated to begin with or had some, thought of doing things better and innovating and getting things, creating their own vision, their own enterprise, their own thing. The business actually starts eating them or managing them as opposed to them managing it. And so we're not having a conversation over the coming episodes about working in the business, on the business, and all of that malarkey. It's working through it and it's working with it and it's being engaged. So like there's four think of we're talking about when we talk about relationships, we're talking about enthusiasm, we're talking about education, we're talking about environment, and we're talking about awareness. Those four things, enthusiasm, education, environment, and awareness impact engagement. And what I would challenge you to do is write down all of your relationships, customers, employees, vendors that currently exist and ask yourself, when's the last time you called them, talked to them, engaged with them? Just by doing that one exercise, it will become clear how, what's missing or how on track you actually are in your business. Additional to, remember, this is where angst comes in. The leader of the flock lives between what is and what could be. And we must be challenged between what is and what could be in our business to actually be exemplifying and modeling the values that our people are expecting us to model and value. Founders put themselves out of a job and then don't know what to do. I probably should have started this episode this way. Without this being a conspiracy, it's actually the success of the business getting to us to that next level where the person puts themselves out of a job is what creates tons of problems in the company and the culture because it's like, well, what's next? And that's where vision and strategy and having, the advisors and the teachers and the philosophers that actually influence the fate of the organization come in and who advises us matters and what ideas we live by matters and um, what how clear we are on what we want and don't want in our lives matters that impacts the culture of the organization. That's where it becomes. more clear or not of whether one wants to sell their business or doesn't. What I've come to find oftentimes is those that think they want to sell don't, and those that want to sell, those that don't want to sell do, and it's backwards. So the manual, the CEO manuals, one of the goals of the CEO manual is clarity and strategy and lower anxiety, increase the capacity for purpose and meaning through just getting clear on what we have, what we don't have, what we want, what we don't want, and who is a part of our organization now, who needs to be a part of our organization. What do we have to do to get there, and how do we actually get there? The relationships piece is discussing the executives, the employees, the customers, right. So all of what is and all of what could be, because the role of the chief is to not only get everybody communicating and trusting one another and moving in the same in a unified front, but to be enthusiastic and engaged and to sell the vision and sell the organization. And it's too often times I come across these small businesses where the person that started it is putting the damper, the governor, all without the governor on the business just by being disengaged as a consequence of not being enthusiastic anymore, not knowing what to do, not knowing who to go to, not being in the environments necessary to take them to the next level, and not having the awareness to know that they're the problem. So, who are the current relationships? Write it down. Who and what relationships can can we bring to the table in all of those contexts to take our organizations to the next level? The relationships is about who we're in our life and who we would want in our life and a part of our business to take that company to the next level. And if it's that difficult to figure out, it's well, I mean, there's only so far we can go on our own with that. And that's why I'm surrounded by advisors. And as one, of course, I'd have to have many in different verticals. And you may be thinking right now, who's helping me with these things? And that could be your first step is you're not surrounded by, um, there's a likelihood if you're not surrounded by competent, huge, seriously competent people working for you at the leadership position, there's unlikely that you're surrounded by competent advisors above. And, because they work in conjunction with one another. So this is an introduction because we're going to go question by question over the coming months and so on. An introduction to the relationships of the CEO is that we don't want to live in purgatory. We want to have we want to be able to burden responsibility and work through the responsibility. Yeah, burden responsibility through enthusiasm, our education, which is who we learn from, what we're learning, how we're learning it, the environment that we're in, that's what relationships we currently serve and have, and who we could have and need and would desire to serve. We've got to create those relationships and what awareness we have, which is going to be a byproduct of how we relate to how we work with the people that we work with, what questions we ask. This is where it's all compounding, all the things. If you listen to 30 Days of Thought, or you go through 30 Days of Thought, that's about awareness and education and developing the skills of management, reading to think, writing to develop, listening to hear what's unsaid, speaking to let go. That leads to the awareness necessary to activate that enthusiasm and attract the talent and attract the customers and attract the vendor partners and attract the the environment to take your organization to the next level, to take your life to the next level, to live to your potential. So this is relationships of the CEO manual. If you're interested in the CEO manual, send me a message, Jay Doran underscore the Culture Man on Instagram. We can talk about it. Leave us a review on the Culture Matters podcast. Go listen to episodes 651 and 682 of the Culture Matters podcast, and I will see you next time.